The story kicks off with Kim Momi dancing on stage during a school performance. She's thrilled, loving the applause and the spotlight, enjoying the feeling of turning everyone into her fans. Fast forward to 1993. A slightly older Momi dances alone in her room when her mother walks in and starts scolding her. At dinner, her mother tells her that with her unattractive looks, she can only dream about becoming a singer. Later, alone in her room, Momi stares in the mirror, wondering how her mother can be beautiful while she's not. 4 years later, in 1997, during middle school, things get worse. Momi performs on stage, and a boy in the audience calls her ugly. By high school in 2000, she no longer performs herself. She just watches the prettier girls take the stage, while the whole school cheers for them. 9 years later, in 2009, 27-year-old Momi is stuck in a dull corporate office, and her dream is barely alive. On her way home, she stops in front of a TV store showing a K-pop performance and watches with envy. At home, she puts on a mask, launches her first live stream, and starts dancing online, getting a flood of likes. The next morning, she rides the bus to the office. Entering the building, her friend Sang-sun notices her exhausted face and asks what's wrong. She also asks if Momi does anything after work, but Momi simply replies, no. At the office, a beautiful woman named Lee A. serves coffee to the men, who immediately start praising her, saying she makes the best coffee. Right then, Momi and Sang-sun walk in, and the men's expressions shift to mild disgust. Once they sit at their desks, Sang-sun texts Momi, joking that one day she'll report these men to HR. Momi agrees, saying something really should be done. Sang-sun complains that A. annoys her, and Momi notes that A. probably had plastic surgery on her eyes and nose. Their boss, Mr. Park, enters the office, and both women fall silent, watching him closely. A. approaches with coffee, but Mr. Park tells her not to make coffee anymore, because serving it isn't her job. Hearing this, Momi realizes he's different from the other men. She recalls how, a month earlier during a meeting, she felt a spark watching him give a presentation. Momi thinks Mr. Park is perfect. Tall, athletic, handsome, and smart. But the only downside, she notes, is that he's married. Back in the present, Momi keeps watching him as he focuses on his computer. In reality, Mr. Park isn't working. He's editing a photo of himself, adding abs to a shirtless picture. Later, at home, Momi spots a before and after photo of a girl's plastic surgery and messages her to find out where she got her nose done. Then she puts on her mask again and starts dancing seductively on her live stream, attracting lots of likes, gifts, and flattering messages from men. The next morning, Mr. Park scolds Momi in front of the entire office for messing up the accounting report. He questions how she could get it so wrong, especially since she trained as an accountant. Later, on the rooftop, Sang-sun notices Momi looking sad and tells her that Mr. Park shouldn't have humiliated her in front of everyone. She adds that Mr. Park is actually a narcissist who posts shirtless photos of himself on social media. Curious, Momi asks to see the pictures. Sang-sun calls her weird and walks away. That evening, some office co-workers, including Momi, have dinner at a restaurant. A. offers to pour Mr. Park a drink, but he declines. Another co-worker, Mr. Kim, shows Mr. Park a site with live streams, explaining that women make a lot of money from likes, and he points out that Mask Girl is the most beautiful streamer on the site. Hearing this, Momi spits out her drink. Sang-sun shames Mr. Kim for watching, but he claims he's just following modern trends. As they leave, Sang-sun calls him perverted, but Momi surprisingly defends him, saying there's nothing perverted about these streams. Mr. Park tells everyone he can't drink more because he has to go home to his wife. Momi says she should leave too. When Mr. Park hails a taxi, Momi asks if she can ride with him, lying that she lives nearby. In the taxi, Mr. Park's wife calls, and he lies, saying he's going home alone. After getting out, Momi rides the subway across the city, thinking about why he lied to his wife. The thought makes her happy. Later that night, during her live stream, Momi shares the story with her viewers. One comments that Mr. Park might like her, while others disagree. Momi simply removes the dissenters from the stream. The next day at the office, Mr. Park takes a photo of himself and posts it on social media. Momi and Sang-sun check out the new picture together. At the same time, Mr. Park loudly scolds A. for messing up her work. Seeing this makes Momi even happier. Later that evening, as Momi prepares to leave the empty office, She sees Arum and tells her not to worry about Mr. Park yelling at her. When she steps outside, she suddenly realizes she left her wallet on her desk and heads back inside. In the office, she sees Mr. Park apologizing to Arum in the conference room, explaining he only raised his voice to avoid suspicion. The two then get physically close, and witnessing this, Momi runs out crying loudly. At home, she drinks heavily and goes live on her stream, performing completely nude. The next morning, she finds her account has been blocked and blames Arum. Momi meets Sang-sun and the other girls for breakfast and deliberately tells them what she saw at the office to spread the news. Soon, rumors of Mr. Park and Arum's affair are everywhere. Later, Sang-sun tells Momi that HR has called Mr. Park and Arum in because of the affair. Momi starts feeling guilty toward Mr. Park. After work, as Momi is about to enter the elevator, a man tries to say something to her but hesitates. Outside, she spots Mr. Park, drunk and disheveled, struggling to hail a taxi. She helps him catch one, and they ride together. Mr. Park falls asleep with his head in her lap, making Momi smile. She takes him to her home since she doesn't know exactly where he lives, and helps him lie down on the bed. When she tries to take off his coat, he suddenly pulls her closer to the bed, then immediately falls asleep. The next morning, Mr. Park wakes up surprised to see Momi sleeping next to him. He quietly gathers his things and leaves without her noticing. At the office, Sang-sun tells Momi that Mr. Park has quit and Arum was transferred to another department. The news makes Momi feel sad. Checking her email, she sees a message from someone claiming they know that Momi is Mask Girl. Panicked, she rushes to the bathroom. On her way home, riding the subway, she texts Mr. Park to ask if they can meet. Suddenly, a guy brushes past her, and she yells at him, accusing him of touching her inappropriately. When the train stops, she drags him to the police station. While explaining the incident to the officers, the guy claims he would never touch someone like Momi, which infuriates her, and she lashes out. Later, a senior officer tells her not to make a mountain out of a molehill and sends her home. After leaving the station, Momi gets a message from Mr. Park saying he doesn't remember anything from the previous night. Back home, she finds her account still blocked and starts chatting with one of her live stream followers. She tells him she feels unlovable. It turns out this follower is the same guy who tried to talk to her by the elevator. His name is Onam. As a child, Onam was constantly bullied, had no friends, and tried to stay invisible, avoiding social interactions. Over time, he developed a habit of watching explicit content online. The scene jumps back to 2009. Onam spends his birthday alone, sitting with a doll. Afterward, he starts watching another explicit video when his mother calls, scolding him for missing her previous call and comparing him to her friends' sons who give gifts and take their moms on trips. She also asks why he still doesn't have a girlfriend. At the office, Onam is painfully shy, unable to even look women in the eye, including Momi. When she hands him documents, he avoids her gaze and instead studies her hands, noticing every tiny detail. Later, he watches his favorite webcam model, Mask Girl, and sends her lots of paid hearts during her live stream. He notices her hands and realizes Mask Girl is actually Momi. From that moment, he becomes obsessed, sending her paid hearts regularly, watching every stream, and even putting up her photos in his room, though he still can't summon the courage to talk to her in real life. During dinner at a restaurant with co-workers, Onam notices Momi's reaction when Mr. Kim mentions Mask Girl. Afterward, when Momi rides a taxi with Mr. Park, Onam feels jealous and heads home, having only come to the dinner for her. Later, during a live stream, Mask Girl shares the taxi incident where Mr. Park lied to his wife. Angry, Onam messages her, threatening that if Mask Girl marries that man, he will take his own life. The next day at the office, he notices Momi constantly watching Mr. Park. Onam decides to confess his love, and even rehearses it on the rooftop. That evening, he waits outside the building to tell her how he feels. Mr. Kim approaches, asking why he's standing there instead of going home. While they talk, Momi leaves without him noticing. He waits, thinking she's still inside, until he sees Mr. Park returning to the building with Momi following him. Secretly, Onam follows them and sees Mr. Park and Arum getting close in the conference room. He feels happy, thinking Momi will stop liking Mr. Park. Back home, he turns on his computer and sees Mask Girl drunk on a live stream. When she starts taking off her clothes, Onam covers the screen with his hand and quickly shuts the computer off. The next day at the office, Onam imagines confessing his love to Momi, and in his fantasy, she tells him she loves him too. Later that evening, when everyone leaves for home, he tries to speak to Momi by the elevator, but but can't summon the courage. Outside, he sees her helping a very drunk Mr. Park into a taxi. Heartbroken, he immediately hails another taxi and follows them. Watching Momi take Mr. Park to her home shatters him. Back home, he anonymously sends Momi a message, claiming he knows she is Mask Girl. Later that night, his mother calls to ask if she should bring him food, but he says he has no appetite. Suddenly, a notification pops up on his computer. Mask Girl requests a private chat, acknowledging him as her top fan and biggest donor. Momi tells him she feels unlovable, and Onam comforts her, promising he will always be there. Mask Girl suggests meeting in real life, but he hesitates. Before he can reply, Momi announces she's meeting another fan named Handsome Monk and ends the chat. Later, Momi meets Handsome Monk wearing glasses and a mask. They go out to eat, and he keeps chatting while she avoids eye contact, feeling insecure about her looks. He asks her to remove the mask. She resists at first, but finally takes off both glasses and mask. She expects him to laugh or walk away, but instead he tells her she's beautiful and has no reason to be shy. This boosts her confidence, and she relaxes. They continue talking. He shares that he recently came to South Korea from the United States, and that women with her features are popular there. Feeling encouraged, Momi becomes more open. When she goes to the bathroom, Handsome Monk posts messages in her live stream chat, revealing their location. He writes that Mask Girl is actually very unattractive in real life, but plans to get her drunk and take advantage of her that night. Onam sees the messages and immediately tries to call Momi to warn her. When she doesn't answer, he rushes to the restaurant. Meanwhile, Handsome Monk and Momi leave the restaurant. As they walk, he suggests going to a motel to watch a movie. Momi hesitates at first, but he convinces her and books a room. He hands her the key and says he'll step out to buy beer. Outside, he mutters to himself about how much money he's already spent tonight on Mask Girl. Back in the motel room, Momi notices several missed calls from Onam and wonders why he keeps trying to reach her. Before she can call back, Handsome Monk returns with the beer. Momi tells him she feels uncomfortable and suggests leaving, but he assures her they'll just drink, talk, and then go. Suddenly, he moves in to kiss her. She quickly pulls back and stops him. When she resists, he tries to force himself on her, but she pushes him away and stands up. As she tries to leave, he insults her, saying she shouldn't act this way because she's so ugly. Enraged, Momi hits him with her bag. A fight breaks out, and during the struggle, they fall off the bed, hitting Handsome Monk's head on the sink. Momi grabs the phone to call an ambulance. While looking at the screen, she sees Onam's earlier messages explaining the truth about Handsome Monk. She calls him and asks him to come to the room. When Onam arrives and sees the man on the floor, he panics, fearing he's dead. Momi cries, recounting everything that happened. She insists they should call the police, but Onam takes her phone and tells her that if they do, she'll end up in jail. Momi breaks down even more. After a moment, Onam tells her to go home and promises he'll handle it. She initially refuses, feeling it's wrong, but he insists and finally convinces her to leave. Once she's gone, Onam starts preparing to dispose of Handsome Monk's body. Suddenly, the man regains consciousness, and in a panic, Onam grabs a knife and stabs him several times, this time killing him. The next day at the office, Mr. Kim announces that Momi has submitted her resignation. Sang-sun tries to call her, but her phone is off. Onam then goes to HR to ask for her address. After work, he brings some of her things she left at the office to her home, but Momi doesn't answer the door, so he leaves her things at the doorstep and leaves. Late that evening, while having dinner at home, Onam notices that Mask Girl has started a live stream again. She announces that it will be her final stream. Onam rushes to his computer and watches as she dances seductively. Panicked, he races to Momi's house and bangs loudly on the door. After a few minutes, Momi finally opens, still wearing her mask. She explains that she quit her job because she can't pretend nothing happened. Onam tells her that the man deserved to die and that she just needs to forget everything. Then, Momi calls out the name of the anonymous account that sent her the letter and reveals she knows it was him. When she asks why, Onam admits he got angry after seeing her with Mr. Park and confesses that he loves her. Momi rejects him. Suddenly, Onam pushes Momi onto the bed, and intimacy begins between them. He removes her mask to see her face, and notices it's covered in bandages. He asks why she did that. Taking advantage of his distraction, Momi suddenly pulls out a knife and stabs him in the neck. killing him. Onam's mother, Chun A, had married his father mainly because he had a stable job, not for love. Their marriage didn't last long. His father cheated, and 3 years later they divorced. Chun A spent many years working different jobs to raise Onam alone. Eventually, she opened a small restaurant. She always dreamed of Onam becoming a doctor. Although he did well in school, Onam secretly spent his time reading adult comics instead of fully focusing on his studies. He later got into a prestigious university in Seoul, but not in medical school. Eventually, Onam found an office job. Once he started earning his own money, he moved into his own apartment, despite his mother's strong objections. After moving, he distanced himself from her, and even asked her not to visit his new place. In the present day, after several days of failing to reach her son, Chun A goes to Onam's apartment with 2 police officers. Inside, she sees a life-size doll on his bed. Soon, the officers discover a body in the fridge. The sight is so shocking that Chun A faints on the spot. News reports reveal that a dismembered body was found in Onam's apartment, who had gone missing back in October. After an autopsy, the police tell Chun A the body isn't her son's. She feels an overwhelming sense of relief and joy. The officers try to ask her questions about Onam, but she gets angry, sensing they suspect him of murder. Later, the police visit Onam's workplace for more information. The HR manager says she last saw him when he asked for Momi's address to return her things. She also mentions that both Onam and Momi stopped coming to the office almost at the same time, only 2 days apart. When asked by the officers if anything happened between Onam and Momi, Sang-sun says no, though Momi once mentioned she felt like Onam was secretly watching her at the office. When the police arrive at Momi's apartment, they find it completely empty with no evidence. The landlord explains that before leaving, Momi threw out most of her belongings and said she planned to move abroad. She also mentions that Momi might have had plastic surgery, as her face was last seen covered in bandages. During the investigation, the police start suspecting that Momi and Onam killed a man, hid his body in Onam's fridge, and then fled the country together. A TV news program spreads this theory, even calling Onam a pervert and highlighting strange things found in his apartment. Seeing this, Chun A flies into a rage, turns off the TV, and angrily calls the police, insisting they are wrong, and that her son is not a pervert but a genuinely kind person. In desperation, she smashes her phone against the wall and decides to find her son herself. Chun A hires a programmer to help access Onam's computer. Since she doesn't know how to use technology, she starts taking computer classes and gradually learns to navigate it. While exploring Onam's files, she finds it full of photos of Momi and Mask Girl and becomes determined to learn more about both of them. Over time, Chun A realizes that Momi and Mask Girl are the same person. Chun A decides to temporarily close her restaurant. When a man asks why, she explains that she's going to search for her son. Later, she goes to the bank and withdraws all the money she's been saving for years. While checking Onam's computer, she starts messaging Mask Girl's streaming manager, Teddy, pretending to be her son. Chun A asks if he's discovered where Mask Girl disappeared to. Teddy sends her a video of a girl dancing in front of a shopping mall. At first, Chun A insists it can't be Momi because her face looks different, but Teddy says it's definitely Mask Girl. The dance style and movements are identical. He also notes the video appears to have been filmed in Chuncheon. That night, Chun A dreams of Onam saying he's freezing cold. She suddenly wakes up, breathing heavily. The next day, the police show her Onam's body in the morgue. Seeing her son dead, Chun A collapses and breaks down, blaming Momi for everything. After the funeral, Chun A finds Momi's mother's address and goes to her house. She bangs on the door, but the woman refuses to open it. Chun A keeps shouting and pounding until the housekeeper finally calls the police. At the station, an officer lets Chun A go, but warns it's her last warning. When she asks about Momi's father, the officer tells her he committed suicide many years ago. Later, Chun A talks with her friends and remembers her son Onam. One friend suggests visiting a fortune teller. Chun A goes and offers a large sum of money in exchange for finding Momi's location. After performing her rituals, the fortune teller claims that Momi is in Chuncheon. Chun A immediately heads there and eventually finds the shopping mall shown in the video Teddy sent. She goes inside, asking people about the girl in the video, pretending it's her daughter who ran away after finishing school. Believing her story, the staff reveal that the girl once appeared in a commercial for the mall, but hasn't been seen in a long time. The manager gives Chun A the name of the agency that hired her. At the agency, a man recognizes the girl and says her name is Yu-mi, and she left because she found a higher-paying job. Kyung-ja continues searching for Yu-mi across the city, showing her photo to people and asking if they've seen her. One night, while stopping at a street food stall, she spots the girl from the photo nearby. She follows her and sees her enter a club with several other attractive women. Kyung-ja tries to get inside, but the doorman stops her. When she explains that the girl is her daughter, he says she can only talk to her once the girl leaves the building. Kyung-ja waits in her car. While waiting, she falls asleep and dreams of Onam again, this time with his face covered in blood. She wakes up terrified and sweaty, just as Yu-mi exits the club. Kyung-ja follows her to her home. The next day, when Yu-mi heads to the hair salon, Kyung-ja enters pretending to be a client wanting a wash. Sitting there, she notices a necklace on the girl's neck and realizes she's seen it before. Later, at a computer center, Kyung-ja examines Onam's files she downloaded onto a flash drive. She finds a photo of Mask Girl wearing the same necklace, confirming that Yu-mi is actually Momi. Soon, she gets another message from Teddy, who says he's also in Chuncheon and is certain the girl in the video is Mask Girl. Kyung-ja starts working as a taxi driver to move around the city more freely without raising suspicion. She then secretly buys a shotgun from an illegal dealer, paying a large sum of money. One night, Kyung-ja waits in her taxi outside the club, refusing passengers. Yu-mi finally exits and gets in. While she's texting someone, Kyung-ja suddenly shocks her with a stun gun, knocking her out. She drives her to an abandoned building in the middle of the forest. The next scene shows Yu-mi waking up inside the empty building, her face bruised. When Kyung-ja removes the tape from her mouth, she screams and calls for help, but Kyung-ja yells back, showing no one can hear them. Terrified, the girl asks why Kyung-ja kidnapped her. Kyung-ja grabs her by the hair and starts hitting her. She shows a photo of her son and asks if she recognizes him. The girl says she's never seen him. Kyung-ja hits her again, insisting she knows that Yumi's real name is Momi. The girl cries, insisting Kyung-ja is wrong and that her name is Chun A, not Yu-mi. Kyung-ja refuses to believe her. She forces a mask onto the girl and gets ready to shoot, pointing out the necklace that matches Mask Girl's. At that moment, the girl looks at a photo of Mask Girl's necklace and suddenly starts laughing. Confused, Kyung-ja removes the mask and asks if she's crazy. Calmly, the girl explains that she actually knows who Momi is. Back in 1999, Chun A transfers to a new school and falls for a boy named Bu-yeon, who's in a boy band and a rising K-pop star. One night, Bu-yeon comes into the store where Chun A works and recognizes her as a classmate. Using his charm, he convinces her to buy alcohol and cigarettes since he's underage. On one day after work, a guy named Ban Sok tells Chun A to ride his motorcycle because Bu-yeon wants to see her. Ban Sok takes her to a club where Bu-yeon hangs out with friends. Bu-yeon asks Chun A to lend him money. She gives it to him, and after that, he keeps borrowing from her, but never pays it back. Over time, Bu-yeon becomes a famous K-pop star, and caught up in fame, stops replying to Chun A's messages. One night, when he returns from another tour, Chun A calls his name repeatedly, but he ignores her. Later that night, she overhears him talking to a friend through the wall. He proudly says that Chun A was just another bank account he drained for money back in school. Her heart shatters, and she cries. In response, she posts countless photos of Bu-yeon smoking and drinking during school, and writes articles about his school life. The scandal sparks an online backlash, and he's eventually forced to leave the group, becoming irrelevant over time. In 2008, Chun A decides to get plastic surgery to change her appearance and adopts the name Yu-mi. The following year, she performs in front of a shopping mall in Chuncheon. She notices Bu-yeon walking by, approaches him, and introduces herself as her old self, Chun A. Since her new appearance is stunning, Bu-yeon doesn't recognize her at first. They go back to her place, and Chun A tells him he can stay until he finds work. To support them both, she starts working as a dancer in a club, quickly becoming popular. Back in the present, Kyung-ja interrupts, aiming a shotgun at Chun A. She says she doesn't care about her life story, only wants information about Momi. Calmly, Chun A responds that the next part is all about Momi and continues. She explains that 2 months ago, Momi got a job at the club and began performing under the stage name A Room. In just a few days, Momi skyrockets in popularity, overshadowing Chun A. After a show, Chun A approaches Momi and points out that the dress Momi wore originally belonged to her. Momi says their boss asked her to wear it. Noticing that many of her regular clients now prefer Momi, Chun A grows jealous and confronts her, sparking a fight. The manager intervenes and stops them. When Chun A complains, the manager sides with Momi. After Momi and the manager leave, Chun A finds Momi's necklace on the floor, dropped during the scuffle, and decides to keep it. After hearing this story, Kyung-ja warns Chun A that she'll kill her if she's lying. Chun A insists she's telling the truth, and even adds that she also wants Momi gone. Kyung-ja orders her to take her to Momi. When they head to the club, Chun A discovers that Momi has already quit. She tells Kyung-ja and offers to help find her, but demands money since she'll have to skip work to search. Kyung-ja agrees and insists on regular updates. Chun A then leaves the car and immediately goes to Momi, warning her that a crazy old lady is looking for her. But Chun A had actually lied to Kyung-ja. When Momi first joined the club, she and Chun A quickly became close friends and danced together. The necklace Chun A mentioned wasn't stolen. It was a gift from Momi. One day, when Momi doesn't show up at the club, Chun A goes to her apartment to check on her. She offers to take Momi to the hospital, but Momi refuses and confides in her that she killed someone, explaining everything that happened to her. Meanwhile, an unknown man secretly photographs Chun A from a window as she leaves the building. When Chun A returns, she sees that Boo-yeon still hasn't found a job and is instead smoking and playing video games. She tells him to leave, but he refuses. She warns she'll call the police if he doesn't go. Boo-yeon then confronts her, revealing he checked her computer and found out she was the one who posted the photos and articles that ruined his career. He explodes in anger and threatens to beat her, but promises not to hit her face, saying she still needs to earn to support them both. Meanwhile, Momi heads to a street food stall for a snack, when Teddy suddenly shows up, claiming he knows she's Mask Girl. Momi denies it and warns him to stop following her, or she'll call the police. She then returns to her apartment to pack and leave the city. Outside, she finds Chun A waiting. Chun A asks if she can come along, and they decide to first go to Chun A's place so she can grab her things. Chun A quietly packs while Momi waits in the car. As Chun A gathers her belongings and her dog, she accidentally steps on a toy that makes a noise, waking Boo-yeon. He asks where she's going. When Chun A tries to run, Boo-yeon grabs her and throws her to the floor. She struggles, but he starts beating her nearly unconscious. Momi suddenly appears and strikes Boo-yeon from behind. Together, Momi and Chun A overpower him and kill him. Meanwhile, Kyung-ja is at the computer center when she receives a message from Teddy, who sends her a photo of Momi and reveals that Momi and Chun A are actually friends. Realizing Chun A lied to her, Kyung-ja flies into a rage. She rushes to Chun A's house and sees the two women driving away. During the ride, Momi admits she's pregnant and plans to keep the baby. Chun A is shocked and asks if the child is Onam's. She also wonders how Momi will raise the baby, but Momi says she'll figure it out. She adds that even if the baby isn't conventionally beautiful, she'll tell the child they're beautiful, unlike how her own mother treated her as a child. Kyung-ja continues following them, quietly humming a song. After driving for a while, the women stop at a secluded lakeside spot to dispose of Boo-yeon's body. Kyung-ja pulls up too and calls out to them. Chun A whispers to Momi that this is the crazy old lady she warned her about. Kyung-ja points her shotgun at them, and the two women start blaming themselves for Onam's death, trying to protect each other. Kyung-ja coldly declares she's already decided to kill them both. When she tries to fire, the shotgun suddenly jams. The women rush her to stop her, and the gun suddenly works again, hitting Chun A in the stomach. As Chun A bleeds heavily, Momi fights Kyung-ja, but Kyung-ja overpowers her and prepares to finish her off. Chun A musters her last strength and strikes Kyung-ja on the head with a rock. Chun A dies from her injuries. Momi then pushes the car carrying the bodies of Boo-yeon, Kyung-ja, and Chun A into the lake and drives away alone. The story jumps to 2011. The police track down Momi and arrest her, while the media dubs her a serial killer. News outlets cover how she changed her face with plastic surgery to hide, and mention that her old style of clothing became trendy among young people. Later in court, as Momi's lawyer defends her, Boo-yeon's mother suddenly stands up, yelling that Momi must be locked away, insisting it's the only just outcome. Ultimately, the court convicts Momi and sentences her to life in prison. A year earlier, in 2010, Momi secretly leaves her daughter, Mimo, on her mother's doorstep. She begs her own mother to care for the child until she settles abroad and can return for her. But Momi never comes back. Growing up, Mimo often hears from her grandmother that she's just like her mother, yet is never told the truth about who her mother really was. Mimo dislikes her grandmother's cooking, favoring tteokbokki sold near her school instead. One day, other parents warn their kids not to play with Mimo because she's Mask Girl's daughter. Hearing the name for the first time, Mimo looks up Mask Girl online and learns the full truth about her mother. She makes a mask for herself and wears it, pretending to be Mask Girl. When her grandmother notices, she gets angry and sends Mimo out. Despite the rain, Mimo sits by the door until her grandmother feels guilty and lets her back in. Rumors that Mimo is Mask Girl's daughter spread across the school, fueled by her best friend. Enraged, Mimo slaps her friend. Later, the school calls her grandmother as many parents complain about Mimo's behavior, prompting them to move. At her new school, Mimo constantly gets into fights whenever anyone insults her mother, forcing her to switch schools frequently. The story jumps again to 2023. Mimo transfers to another new school. Before leaving, her grandmother warns her not to end up like her mother. At the new school, Mimo refuses to sit near a boy and chooses a spot next to a girl named Yi-chun. Yi-chun tries to befriend her, but Mimo says she doesn't need friends. That evening, Mimo receives a message from an elderly woman who sells tteokbokki near the school. The woman asks how she's doing and assures her that she can count on her if she ever needs help. The next day, Mimo and Yi-chun get assigned to clean together. While Mimo works, Yi-chun steps outside to show a younger girl autographs from popular K-pop idols. Soon, a group of girls shows up and starts bullying Yi-chun. When Mimo goes to take out the trash, she scares them off by threatening them with a piece of broken glass. The glass cuts her hand, and Yi-chun quickly dabs it with a handkerchief. She also notices old scars on Mimo's arm and asks if she did it herself, but Mimo walks away without answering. Over the next few days, the girls gradually start bonding and spend more time together. One day, Yi-chun accidentally blurts out that she wants to kill her mother because she wouldn't let her save a kitten. This annoys Mimo, and she starts to leave, but Yi-chun stops her, revealing that she also has serious problems at home. She claims her father is an alcoholic who beats her mother. Mimo tells Yi-chun she has no father. Her mother is in prison, and she's never had contact with her, living only with her grandmother. Later, Yi-chun lies again in a message to Mimo, insisting her father is abusive. Believing they share similar struggles, Mimo starts to open up and grow close to her. One day, a teacher catches them talking during class and sends them outside. Another student jokingly suggests Yi-chun and Mimo are in a romantic relationship. On the way home, Yi-chun asks why Mimo's mother is in prison. Mimo calmly explains that she killed someone. Yi-chun says she doesn't see Mimo as the daughter of a monster like everyone else. Yi-chun continues lying about her cruel father, and Mimo suggests they run away from home. They quickly realize they don't have enough money. That night, Yi-chun searches online about Mimo's mother and discovers that Mimo is actually Mask Girl's daughter. The next day, she starts planning how to gather money to escape with Mimo. Watching her younger sister play in a walker, Yi-chun secretly sells it to get some cash. Even then, it's not enough. Later, Yi-chun tries selling a few autographs of popular K-pop idols to a younger student. But a group of older girls catches her and beats her for taking money from a child. After they leave, a classmate of Yi-chun and Mimo starts bullying Yi-chun. In response, Yi-chun threatens her, revealing that Mimo's mother is a serial killer. Meanwhile, Mimo tries to steal a laptop, but gets caught by a man before she can escape. Around the same time, her grandmother storms into the police station and slaps her. Mimo tells her she doesn't want to live with her anymore and runs off. Around then, Yi-chun comes home, and her father asks about the missing walker. She lies and says she doesn't know anything. Later, Mimo calls, asking if she can spend the night at Yi-chun's, but Yi-chun lies again, saying her father is furious and the house is a mess. With no other options, Mimo sneaks into the school at night and sleeps in her classroom. The next day, Mimo overhears girls gossiping about her mother in the school bathroom. Instead of fighting, she quietly leaves. Later, her grandmother comes to the school, asking Yi-chun if she's seen Mimo, but Yi-chun denies it. After school, Yi-chun searches for Mimo, but can't find her. Returning home, she's greeted warmly by her happy family. Watching from a distance, Mimo realizes Yi-chun really does have a loving home. That evening, Mimo calls Yi-chun to meet up. When Yi-chun rushes over and asks where she's been, Mimo lashes out and angrily beats her. In 2012, Momi arrives at prison by bus. After the security check and changing into prison clothes, she's led to her cell. Her upper bunk neighbor suddenly jumps down and startles her. Her name is Misa, and she says she's seen Momi on TV. Misa bombards her with questions about her plastic surgery and its cost. When Momi casually mentions it was around 30 million won, roughly $20,000, Misa loudly announces it to the entire prison hallway. Later, many female inmates surround Momi in the yard, all asking questions about the surgery. Suddenly, everyone steps aside as a woman enters. Momi asks Misa who she is and learns her name is Yoon Sok. She's the most influential inmate, practically running the prison, even over the warden. Misa explains that Yoon Sok is in prison because she hired someone to kill her husband and his lover. As they talk, Yoon Sok calls Momi over and asks if she's really Mask Girl. When Momi confirms it, Yoon Sok slaps her and says she reminds her of the woman who seduced her husband. She then warns Momi to stay away or she'll kill her. In the cafeteria, Momi notices an inmate being denied her meal. Misa explains that the woman is in prison for adultery, and Yoon Sok has a strict rule. Any woman caught in illegal sexual activity outside of marriage must go hungry for the first 3 days behind bars. Ignoring the warnings, Momi secretly shares her food with the starving inmate. Later, while working in the laundry, 3 women from Yoon Sok's crew confront her. They signal the guards and other inmates to step back, and everyone obeys. One of them shoves Momi into a washing machine and threatens to kill her. Momi immediately strikes back, and a fight breaks out. Soon, the guards drag her to solitary confinement. When she asks why only she was punished, a guard warns that no one wants to mess with Yoon Sok. After her time in solitary, Misa advises Momi to keep her mouth shut and obey Yoon Sok if she wants to survive. Momi ignores the warning and attacks Yoon Sok's minions again. She's sent back to solitary for 15 days. Each time she's released, she goes after them, repeating the cycle over and over. Later, the warden tells Yoon Sok to calm Momi down because an inspector is coming for a check. When Momi is freed again, she rushes at the women in the yard, sending them into a panic. One of them falls, and Momi is about to strike, but Yoon Sok appears and offers a truce. Momi agrees to the deal. By 2023, Momi is still in prison, serving her life sentence, but now with short hair. After a speech from the new warden, the inmates head toward the cafeteria. In the cafeteria, a young inmate approaches Momi and asks if she's really Mask Girl. When Misa confirms it, the girl gushes that she's a huge fan and that many women admire Momi for taking down perverted men. Misa shakes her head, saying most men these days are just perverts. Back in her cell, Momi receives her first letter in 11 years. Inside is an article claiming that Mask Girl's daughter has become just as ruthless as her mother. The letter shakes her deeply. That night, she rereads it and decides she has to escape prison to see her daughter. The next day, while the inmates work as seamstresses, Momi secretly steals some clothes and tosses them into the yard through the bathroom window. Later, Misa distracts the guards while Momi grabs the clothes and tries to climb the wall using the fabric. Unfortunately, an alarm goes off, the fabric rips, and she falls. Furious, the warden orders Momi locked in solitary for a month. One guard even hands her a Bible, saying the warden thinks the devil tempted her to escape. A month later, the warden checks on her and finds her praying. When Momi returns to the general cell, her cellmate notices a change. She says she's now a child of the Lord, and even starts preaching to inmates and guards. One day in the yard, the new inmate jokingly asks Momi to take her along if she ever tries to escape again. While walking with Misa, Momi notices Yoon Sok crying. Misa explains that Yoon Sok's daughter needs a kidney transplant, but no donor has been found. Momi approaches Yoon Sok and asks her daughter's blood type, offering to donate her own kidney. Yoon Sok is deeply moved. A few days later, she runs to Momi with joy, hugging her and sharing that the tests show Momi is a match for the transplant. Sometime later, the prison holds a Bible study session where inmates meet and interact with civilian visitors. After the session ends, Momi is about to leave when an elderly woman approaches her and introduces herself as Chun A. She asks why Momi never replied to her letter. Momi is stunned, thinking Chun A had been dead for years. Chun A explains that after Momi dumped the car into the lake, she regained consciousness and escaped by breaking a window with a shotgun. She went on to have plastic surgery, change her face, create a new identity, and buy a home. Chun A tells Momi that she searched everywhere for her, but eventually learned from the news that Momi had been arrested and sent to prison. She also mentions noticing Momi's daughter living with her grandmother and gradually gaining the girl's trust with tteokbokki. Chun A admits that she was the one spreading rumors at school that Mimo was Mask Girl's daughter. When Mimo came crying to her, Kyung-ja encouraged her to retaliate against those who teased her, slowly shaping her into a tougher, more ruthless girl. Over the years, whenever Mimo changed schools, Kyung-ja continued revealing her Mask Girl identity to others. At the end, Kyung-ja confesses that after Mimo fought with Yi-chun and ran away from her grandmother's house, she would now live with Kyung-ja. She warns Momi that her daughter will now feel the same pain she once felt, losing her only son, Onam. With that, Kyung-ja leaves. Momi rushes after her, trying to stop her, but the guards hold her back. She keeps shouting that they can't let this woman go, threatening she might kill someone, while Kyung-ja calmly tells the guards that Momi must have mistaken her for someone else. Kyung-ja returns home, and Mimo runs to greet her with a wide smile. Meanwhile, in prison, Momi tries to explain Kyung-ja's true intentions to the guards, but is warned not to cause trouble. She then tells Eun-suk everything that has happened, and Eun-suk promises to help. At home, during dinner, Kyung-ja asks Mimo to call her grandmother to let her know she's safe, but not reveal who she's living with. Later, Mimo notices a photo of Onam in the house and asks about him. Kyung-ja replies that he was her son, but he's no longer there. Back in prison, Eun-suk secretly gives Momi a name and phone number. At the same time, Mimo's grandmother goes to the police station to report her granddaughter missing, but the officer asks her to wait, saying the girl might come back on her own. As she leaves, Mimo suddenly calls, saying she's safe but will never return, then hangs up. Meanwhile, from prison, Momi calls her mother for the first time in over 10 years. Her mother is furious, demanding why she's calling after so long. Momi quickly asks if Mimo ever mentioned meeting an old woman at school who sold tteokbokki. Her mother says no, and just then the call cuts off as prison phone time ends. Momi protests and begs for another call, but the guards push her to the floor. Later, Eun-suk warns Momi not to cause trouble in prison, noting she already convinced the warden not to send her back to solitary. She explains that the old woman probably changed her identity, making her hard to track. Eun-suk then gives Momi a phone number, claiming it belongs to Mimo's school, and tells her to call. Momi tries to reach the school to speak with Mimo, but the call ends before anyone answers. In reality, the number doesn't belong to the school. It's a girl pretending to be Mimo on Eun-suk's orders. Later, in the yard, Momi asks Eun-suk if she can get a photo of her daughter from the school. Eun-suk calls one of her people outside and instructs them to send any photo of a girl about Mimo's age, knowing Momi hasn't seen her in years and won't notice the switch. She gives Momi the fake photo, which calms her slightly. Eun-suk reminds her that the kidney donation operation is scheduled for tomorrow. Outside prison, Kyung-ja returns home from shopping, and Mimo surprises her with a birthday cake. She says she found out about the birthday from an ID she saw earlier. Kyung-ja looks puzzled, but thanks her and blows out the candles. Later that night, after confirming Mimo is asleep, Kyung-ja quietly takes a few things and descends into a hidden basement. The next day, Momi is transported from prison by ambulance for her operation. Eun-suk tells the driver to report any suspicious activity immediately. Back at home, Kyung-ja secretly slips medication into Mimo's food. During lunch, Mimo happily talks about wanting a job someday, so she can buy Kyung-ja gifts and take her on trips. Kyung-ja pauses for a moment, then tells her to finish her meal. At the same time, Mimo's grandmother calls the school principal, asking if he knows the address of the woman who sold tteokbokki near the school. Meanwhile, Momi arrives at the hospital under the watch of 2 plainclothes prison guards. Before the operation, she asks one of them to bring her Bible. While that guard steps away, she asks the other to let her use the restroom. At first, the guard refuses, but when Momi insists, the guard handcuffs her to the shower so she can go that way. Momi complains and threatens to back out of the kidney donation if treated like this. Eventually, the guard relents and removes the handcuffs. As soon as the guard turns away, Momi strikes her on the head, knocking her out. Around the same time, Mimo's grandmother, having learned Kyung-ja's address, tries to call her, but Kyung-ja doesn't answer. Just then, the doorbell rings. It's Yi-chun. She tells the grandmother that the tteokbokki seller stopped appearing at school after Mimo disappeared. They quickly get into a taxi and head to Kyung-ja's home. On the way, Yi-chun explains that after rumors about Mask Girl started spreading at school, she investigated and discovered that the tteokbokki seller was the source. Meanwhile, when the guard returns with the Bible, Momi jumps out of the hospital window. She lands but is immediately hit by a car, feeling dizzy. The driver gets out to check on her, but Momi recovers, quickly climbs into the driver's car, and speeds away. Back in prison, Eun-suk and the warden erupt in fury upon learning that Momi has escaped. In the car, Momi uses the driver's phone to call her mother. She warns her that Mimo is in danger, and that the tteokbokki lady is actually Kyung-ja, who's been destroying Mimo's life since childhood. Her mother says Mimo is with Kyung-ja, and that she's on her way too. Momi urges her not to go alone, warning that Kyung-ja is extremely dangerous, and asks for the address. Her mother stops the taxi and tells Ye-chun to get out because it's too risky, then calls the police, reporting that a woman named Kyung-ja has kidnapped her granddaughter, Mimo. Meanwhile, Ye-chun hops into another taxi and heads straight to Kyung-ja's address. Inside the basement, Kyung-ja turns on a camera where Mimo is tied to a chair with her mouth taped. She tells Mimo that even though Mimo hasn't done anything to her personally, her mother, Momi, killed Kyung-ja's son, Onam, and now she must take revenge by killing Mimo. Mimo cries and struggles as Kyung-ja sets up a recording, intending to send it to Momi after the murder. On the road, Momi's car runs out of fuel, so she hitches a ride. She lies to the female driver, claiming she left home after an argument with her husband. During the drive, the radio announces that the serial killer Momi has escaped from prison. The driver grows suspicious. When they arrive at the destination, Momi exits, and the driver calls the police. A police officer arrives at Kyung-ja's house, saying he received a call about Mimo's kidnapping. He searches the house, but Mimo can't make a sound because her mouth is taped. Thinking it's a prank, the officer leaves. As soon as he's gone, Mimo frees her mouth and screams for help. The officer hesitates, then hears over the radio that Momi has escaped from prison and is in the area, so he heads off to find her. Kyung-ja returns inside and tapes Mimo's mouth again. Soon after, Mimo's grandmother arrives at Kyung-ja's house. She asks the taxi driver to wait, but he leaves, saying he has other clients. Mimo climbs up the hill above the house, watching everything unfold. In the basement, Kyung-ja turns on the stove, intending to set Mimo on fire, then heads upstairs. Spotting Mimo's grandmother inside, Kyung-ja and the grandmother start fighting. Kyung-ja shoves her to the floor, but suddenly Ye-chun bursts into the house. The grandmother grabs Kyung-ja by the leg and pleads with Ye-chun to save Mimo. Ye-chun rushes to the basement, turns off the stove, and hugs Mimo, assuring her she's there to rescue her. Meanwhile, the struggle upstairs continues. Kyung-ja grabs scissors and strikes the grandmother, but as she prepares to hit again, Momi strikes Kyung-ja from behind. The grandmother urges her daughter to save her granddaughter. Momi rushes into the basement and unties Mimo. The three of them, Mimo, Momi, and Ye-chun, try to escape, but Kyung-ja suddenly reappears with a knife, blaming Momi for everything. When Kyung-ja reaches for a shotgun, Mimo runs at her, fighting while ordering Ye-chun and Momi to flee. Momi and Ye-chun escape the basement and see the grandmother. Mimo cries and apologizes, but her grandmother dies. In the basement, the fight between Kyung-ja and Momi continues. Both sustain serious injuries. Eventually, Momi overpowers Kyung-ja and emerges from the basement. Outside, Momi, Mimo, and Ye-chun are met by police, who order them to raise their hands. At that moment, Kyung-ja suddenly appears and shoots at Mimo. Momi jumps in front of her daughter, taking the bullet to save her. The police then shoot and kill Kyung-ja. Later, Mimo returns to school and is adopted by Ye-chun's parents. In the final scene, she watches a recording of her mother, Momi, performing as a child. On the video, young Momi says her dream is to become famous and loved by everyone.
Subscribe, hit that like, click the bell, don't drift away. Subscribe, hit that like, stay with me, don't go astray. Subscribe, hit that like, drop a few words, leave a comment today.